Hello everyone. Sorry, just doing a lot of testing when it comes to the new microphone. Hopefully it sounds good. Let's go ahead and see if this is working well. All right. Well, hello everyone, I'm the Notorious Base. I do a lot of no damage and challenge runs over here and over for Team Hitless. I'm usually on YouTube and the occasional twitch.tv/NotoriousBase, but not too much Twitch recently. Today I'd like to practice a little bit of Resident Evil 3, but also discuss some of the projects that are coming out very soon. We have Resident Evil 9 on the cusp, but a lot of new released information, which is quite interesting, along with wondering what the hell is going on with the remakes. I don't know, I feel like I'm as lost as you guys recently, you know? Like, they're not doing a good job of really explaining what's going on. So, I think what we have to do is really dive in and discuss this. Oh. How's everybody doing today on this wonderful Saturday night? Damn, game is loud.
Resident Evil.
A discussion, I say. Yes, sir. Hopefully everybody is doing well today. What's going on, Gemini? Good to see you, my friend. We're doing a little bit of a test stream today just to see how everybody feels about discussing some Resident Evil. So as most of you know, Resident Evil 3 came out in 1999. Did very well. But also I want to just discuss something about Resident Evil 9, and I think it's important that we go ahead and we jump into that. So I'm interested to look at a couple of videos.
September 28th, daylight.
Let's talk shop, brother. What's up, Lefty? Francis, I got you here. Let's freaking go, y'all. Happy Saturday. Back from the ice fishing tournament earlier. But hey, never say never, right? 3-day event. How did it go? How did it go? Welcome back, everyone. So we got a lot to discuss today. I'm actually going to be getting off of Resident Evil 3, and we're going to go ahead and have a discussion on a lot of this. Now, a lot of you could see my screen. My thing is all messy, but there's some videos, right? There's some videos that we want to discuss today. And we have the wonderful Residents of Evil. Okay, let's see. Resident Evil 9 news. Now, there's quite a lot of news to discuss here. So let's get ourselves situated where we have a conversation on this, okay? This is extremely important. We need to know what's going on. So if you guys can hear this, let's dive right into this video and see what's going on. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday. Let's see. So the wonderful guys at Residents of Evil, they do so much work uncovering lore, information, just really any key insights when it comes to Resident Evil. And honestly, what they've been doing for the franchise with making the Keeper's Diary short and just so many other projects, I mean, can't really top that, you know? I mean, there's a lot of conversation here. Yeah, man, we're going to go ahead and have some fun tonight because honestly, half the time we're sitting here practicing challenge runs, which you guys know that I adore, but I saw that in the voting, we'd like to discuss a little bit about Resident Evil, some things that we don't know. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to watch this content, and then we're going to discuss it, because I'm really curious what you guys think. Yeah, you see that, right? Resident Evil 9, new leaks, Leon Kennedy returns, and no Jill. See, that's the twist that I want to discuss with a lot of you here tonight. I had conversations with Jem, and I had conversations with a few people discussing the idea that Resident Evil 9 may finally star two characters that were never together, Leon and Jill. Now, that is a very interesting concept because the only time they ever really met was in Resident Evil Death Island. I don't know if a lot of you guys remember Resident Evil Death Island, but it was the CG movie that came out, what was it, like a year or two ago? And they met, and it was almost like they knew each other. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch this video and not be rude to our friends over at Residents of Evil.
Hey guys, JJ here, back with more leaks on the upcoming Resident Evil 9, including fan favorite Leon Kennedy returning as the main character, Jill having less of a role than previously expected, and more. So with that being said, let's get right into it. With the continued success of the Resident Evil franchise, it's no surprise that development is well underway for the next mainline title in the series, Resident Evil 9. Other than Capcom announcing that they're working on another Resident Evil game, news has been almost non-existent aside from speculation, rumors, and supposed leaks. There seems to be more rumors than ever before, possibly because of the lack of news. While some of these may have a bit of truth, it's hard to sift through the noise with so many people claiming insider knowledge, or that they have an uncle that works at Capcom. Either way, I do enjoy covering the rumors because it gets me thinking about what the next Resident Evil game could be about, who it'll feature, and where the story will go. For me, speculation is part of the hype. The same can't be said for
So when it comes to the new Resident Evil, there's a lot of speculation, and JJ is always right on the money with a lot of his information. We don't know the direction Resident Evil 9 is going in. But there were leaks recently about the Mutamycete still being around, and that Leon S. Kennedy may reprise his protagonist role. Caught a few crappies and a lot of wallies, I think. Me and my crew did good. Wish y'all were here as well, but won't know the results until the last day, Sunday afternoon. Well, I hope you did really well on that, Francis, because I know how much you love ice fishing. That is really cool. So when it comes to the Resident Evil franchise, as we know, Resident Evil was originally supposed to be a Super Nintendo game, right? The original Resident Evil. And funny enough, it ended up coming out on the PlayStation, right? 3D polygons let them do a lot more when it came to creating an atmosphere that was terrifying. Now, if we jump all the way ahead to Resident Evil 7, it took a direct turn, right? Like a 180, right? We had a first-person view. We had Jack Baker. We had Ethan Winters, right? Brand new character. That was honestly, that was kind of strange for a lot of us here, right? I would say so. I mean, a lot of us didn't know the character. A lot of us didn't really know if we would like them. We didn't even know it was Resident Evil until the last scene of the trailer, right? Like, think about that for a second, right? Like, let's pull that up really fast, right? So if we go to Resident Evil 7, Let's take a look at this Resident Evil 7 trailer quick, because that's something that I think we really need to look at. When we watch this trailer, let's see, launch trailer. Here we go. This is an interesting one. Very interesting opening.
She's back.
The fact that they learned this on the fly and ended up with probably the greatest horror franchise of all gaming is wild. I agree, Lefty.
Go tell Aunt Rhody. Go tell Aunt Rhody. Go tell Aunt Rhody that everybody's dead.
Very, very good song, right? Already starting off strong. We got no idea who this crew is.
I was raised in
What's up, Brian?
a dark hole
Happy you're watching, my friend.
with no parole.
So we got a brand new mic as well. Hopefully it sounds clear.
Up and took my soul.
It's interesting.
To him and he will come. She'll run to him like he's the one. His arms outstretched, but when she's done, he'll be torn apart.
What a banger, right? This is a good one. Iconic tune? Oh, yeah. So that right there, okay? This right here was absolutely ingenious, okay? Because watching that Desolation trailer, we saw a lot of things that we had never seen before in the Resident Evil franchise, right? It was a empty home, right? Almost desolate, derelict. And we had no indication that this was going to be a Resident Evil. Nice to meet you, Ryan. Very nice, Francis. That's awesome. So when we talk about Resident Evil 7, it changing the design of how Resident Evil went forward, it really brought it to a different threshold, right? We got to see Resident Evil in first person. We had no idea what Resident Evil 7 was. And then we saw the VII, right? And we had a 7. And then all of a sudden the rest of the writing came up and we were like, what the hell is going on here? Right? Like cataclysmically breaking the internet. It brought horror back for real. It did. You're right, Lefty. It completely brought horror back, right? We had been lost for a while. Resident Evil 6 was dog shit. And I'm sorry to the fans here that do love it, right? You could enjoy it. You could have your niche, but think about it. Think about it for just a second. Resident Evil 6 was such a departure away from what Resident Evil came to be, right? And then this game kind of came around and just, it like broke the internet. Like, I don't know how to describe it, right? So let's go ahead and listen to what JJ has to say, and just, we don't know the direction, right? It's almost like we're lost. We're almost lost in the idea of where is Resident Evil heading next, right? Why is Leon reprising his role? Where is Rose? That's a crucial one. Like, we played Shadows of Rose, and then we had absolutely no idea what was next. And to me, that has me a little worried. The reason that has me a little worried is because I just don't know the direction Resident Evil wants to take. Right? when we talk about Resident Evil, right? We talk about a lot of different aspects that make it great. The horror, the item management, not the fear of the monster, but the fear of, are we going to have enough ammo to defeat the monster? Right? Let's get some ambient music playing in the background over here. Oop, I pressed the wrong button. And it's so much room to speculate, right? I would agree. We have a lot to uncover tonight. We have a lot to try to figure out. So we're going to go ahead and watch this video. And really just try to get to the bottom of what's going on here.
For everyone though, and I totally understand that. Before we get into the details, I should clarify that everything you are about to hear is currently a rumor until confirmed by Capcom. If you do enjoy this video, please leave a like, and if you'd like to stay up to date on all the latest Resident Evil 9 news, leaks, and rumors, make sure to subscribe. Alright, let's get into it. Known Resident Evil insider, Duskulum, aka Aesthetic Gamer, is back to clear up some of the confusion about who will star in the next mainline Resident Evil game. According to a report for Tech for Gamers, Duskulum recently shared that Leon Kennedy will return as the lead protagonist in Resident Evil 9. Leon has always been one of the most iconic characters in the series, and following the success of the Resident Evil 4 remake, it would only make sense for Capcom to bring him back for the next mainline game, especially now that the Winters family saga is over.
Now, isn't that interesting? Leon gets the Resident Evil 4 remake, and because his character in his reprised role was so powerful that he instantly now had Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, a part in Resident Evil 6, and now he'll be in Resident Evil 9. Like, I don't want to sit here and speculate too much, but why would Leon be the main character here? We've seen Chris so many times recently. We've seen Chris in 1, right? Then we've seen him in Code Veronica, saving his sister. We've also gotten to see him in 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, like, Chris has been a reprising character for quite some time. And to me, I don't know where they're going with this. I'm at a loss of words here.
A fan of Leon myself, I think it would be a nice change of pace from Chris Redfield and his Houndwolf squad, but with that said, I hope Capcom doesn't leave us with another open-ended storyline. I think it's safe to assume that with the success of the RE4 remake, that I believe the gameplay will be similar to that style with the over-the-shoulder camera and a block parry mechanic. It'd be wild if Capcom brought back Leon Kennedy and only gave us a first-person option. Moving on now, there were earlier rumors that Jill Valentine might play a major role in the next mainline game, but according to Dusk, she won't be a main character at all in Resident Evil 9. At best, we might get a small reference to her. This is unfortunate as many...
See, and that right there, right? Like, the speculation for the longest time was that Leon and Jill were going to be the main characters of 9, right? It was, we had really thought that was something that was going to happen. I feel you. Each and everyone's opinion about the rise and fall of Resident Evil 6. I know I'm kind of harsh about it, so I apologize to anybody who really does love 6. I'm not here to make anybody unhappy, right? Leon Kennedy needs a round 2 with Chris. I would totally agree, because that fight was a stalemate. What's everyone's thoughts on there being a merchant shot mechanic in RE9? Very good question, Jem. Very good question. I honestly feel like there does need to be something like that, right? Because that makes Resident Evil what it is. Maybe if there's a save room, we could go back to getting a little bit of save rooms, a merchant. Obviously, the merchant from Resident Evil 4 will not be in it. But thanks to Mr. Tibbs and one of his buddies, Tired, there's a lot of speculation that Joseph Kendo may have something to do with the merchant. It's interesting, right? It's interesting, all the possibilities. If we really sit down and think about it, how many characters were tossed aside in the Resident Evil franchise? Carlos, Billy, the characters from Dead Aim I can't even name, the Outbreak characters, Kevin and all of them, Sheva Elamar, Helena from Resident Evil 6. It's almost like, where is everybody? Bingo? Like, what are we doing here?
Fans were really hoping to see her return. Her last mainline game was Resident Evil 5. Many had hoped that after her return in the CG film Death Island, we'd see her once again in a future game. Personally, I thought a team-up between Jill and Leon would be great since they seem to work so well together in Death Island. Dusk has also mentioned that many of the rumors circulating
Carlos.
in Dusk's defense, the last leak we covered stating that Jill would return for a major role in Resident Evil 9 was from another source. In a previous video, we covered Dusk's claim that multiple Resident Evil games are currently in development, including a remake of Resident Evil 0 and...
Now this, right? This is bingo. This is a Carlos moment. We're hearing rumors and speculations that not only Resident Evil 9 is being worked on at the moment, but we also have some remakes in the work. Think about that for a second. Code Veronica could be getting worked on right now, which absolutely needs an overhaul beyond belief, because as much as I love that game, it's in my top 5 Resident Evils of all time. It's hard, right? No difficulty setting. And really could use an overhaul. Resident Evil 0 probably needs the biggest overhaul out of all of them. It had a good idea when it came, right? When it came to being able to drop items, but then became kind of punishing. Because if you left items in certain places and didn't have the health to heal, what do you do? I must say this, right? After seeing Wesker and Project W and Dead by Daylight with the whole Ouroboros virus now inside him, he should definitely make a huge comeback at Resident Evil 9. Well, think about it, right? If they remake Resident Evil 5 and they decide, hey, we're not going to kill Wesker this time, kind of fixing some of the things that they did, I honestly think they really shot themselves in the foot with that one. What do you guys think? Do you think killing Wesker was a good move? Me personally, I don't. I just don't see it being a good move. One of the greatest villains of all time, and right, he's in Dead by Daylight. And honestly, really to discuss more, there's a lot of news that RE-verse is shutting down. I didn't even know it was still running. Apparently it had 34 players. Would you like to hear an absolutely insane stat? Resident Evil 4 Remakes demo currently has more concurrent players than RE-verse right now. Think about that. Think about the impact that these multiplayer Resident Evils are doing to the community. When a lot of us here just want Resident Evil Outbreak redone. But no, we got Resistance, which I think lasted a week. We got RE-verse that I honestly didn't even know the servers were still up. Oh, shucks. This Carlos. I think killing Wesker was a mistake, perhaps not for the time, seeing as they knew that being closing in on the franchise, but certainly something that needs to be retconned in the remake. See, I would agree with you, Jem. Did they plan on ending Resident Evil with 5? Like, what? Where did they think the direction of the game was going to go after this? Yeah, I agree, Lefty, right? REP Reverse. We didn't even know it was a thing. Me and Mr. Tibbs in our tier list video with Jem, like, it was such a letdown. I personally think one of the coolest parts of RE-verse was, like, seeing the RPD non-damaged, so you actually, like, run around it. Like, I thought that was cool. But I gotta agree with Jem here. Why would you kill Wesker? Literally the face of the franchise in the antagonist role. What, are you going to have Nemesis run around in every game? I mean, it'd be cool. I don't know, man. The Capcom, I love them, but sometimes they just have me sitting here scratching the hair that I barely have.
Resident Evil Code Code Veronica. I'll link those videos down below in the description. Dusk has also previously stated that Resident Evil 9 has now had the longest development timeline and largest budget of any Resident Evil game, and is said to be the most ambitious title to date. With Resident Evil's 30th anniversary next year, I'm sure there will be some big announcements in the near future, and I'm excited to see where the series goes. But now,
So, we got to discuss that for a second, right? Because JJ is always on the money. Dusk Golem, he is a leaker, right? He is really good at what he does, and he's usually on the money with a lot of his leaks. The 30th anniversary. Now, let's discuss this, Notorious Base. But that wasn't a good move to kill Wesker, right? But like I said, seeing him in his new form with the Ouroboros virus, we need him as the main villain. I mean, Francis, you said it perfectly, right? He was trying to become the perfect being, and then, like, 2 rockets to the face and lava just end him? Like, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing? And now, right, with the 30th anniversary of Resident Evil coming up, are they going to make a remake of 1? I mean, do I want a remake of 1? I definitely would not mind seeing it. Right? I definitely would not mind seeing it. But is it the right move? It's almost like we don't know anymore. It's almost like they can't figure out what they want to do. And that's what gets me so worried about the future of this game. This franchise, I should say.
now I'm curious to know your thoughts. Are you excited to see Leon return to the series? Are you disappointed that Jill's role is significantly less than we had hoped for? Where would you like to see this series go in the future? Let us know down below in the comments, and let's have a discussion about it. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, and for all the latest Resident Evil 9 news...
I'd rather see 5 done again, with more emphasis on Sheva. What's up, Lily? I mean, I would totally agree with that. Where are the characters? Why do we just pick up and dump? Why don't we actually sit for a second, right? Sit for a second and really look at Resident Evil as a whole. It has absolutely so much potential to be one of the greatest franchises of all time. Which I would say is, right? But there's so many plot holes that we just don't understand. I miss Jill Valentine, right? We see Jill Valentine in quite a lot of things. Oh, folks, but what about Wesker, son from RE6? Jake was a pretty good character. Just as I thought, somehow Jake was on the mission or something, and he got infected by the Ouroboros. I mean, see, that right there, that's good storytelling. That's adapting a character that they made him have a son, and then just kind of took it away. 100% best horror series of all time, right? Maybe like right below it is Silent Hill. But what the hell is going on? I would agree with Lily. I think Resident Evil 5 is an imperative remake that we need to conquer. I want to see Code Veronica, right? I want to see Zero. But if we're going to start telling the story of Resident Evil 4 again, and we're going to go directly into 5, what if they use the original concepts of 5? Hello, friends. Hey, Noble. Today we're doing some Resident Evil discussions on 9 and its remakes. It's great to have everybody here tonight. Hope you're all doing well, and thank you for jumping in. I don't know, what do you guys want to see? What remake? Do you want to see Resident Evil 9 more, or what remake do you want to see more? I miss my Disco Jill. I would totally agree with you, right? Like, I love Disco Jill. I was playing it before. I almost just don't know what to think of. I just got back from work. I'm glad you're feeling better as well. I want to see a CVX remake, right? Code Veronica remake would be badass. Yeah, Zero would be really interesting to explore with some of Rebecca's story. Well, yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more with you too, Jem. Think about that for a second. She gets tossed right into Stars Bravo team, right into everything that's just taken place, and then boom. We have absolutely no idea how she just went from saluting Billy Cohen. We have no idea where Billy Cohen went. And now she just gets right over to the Spencer Mansion and has to go through everything again and doesn't mention to Chris or anybody that just happened. Let's go Jill for the win, but honestly, didn't like RE5 Jill too much. I didn't like what they did with her. I would agree with you, Lefty. I didn't like what they did with her, right? She's wearing a witch doctor's outfit with blonde hair and the same trope of Wesker just kidnapping somebody and, right? Like, that game was honestly a game for its time, right? Like, around the time with Gears of War, think of some other titles, right? The Ghost Recon's right over the shoulder. It was trying to compete with games in that genre. Stories based, do you think we could see one of the good guys turn bad in RE9? Now that right there, Lily, is a perfect example of what we were looking for. Do we think that it's possible that we see a character turn on the beloved team that we've had since 1996? And also, do you guys think that Chris will die in RE9 or even be in it? The only thing, I mispoint this out, I know I'm a huge Christopher Redfield fan, but I totally agree with you. RE6 just happens fast with everyone's campaign. What do y'all think? Well, when it comes to that, right? There were so many campaigns with convoluted stories. Like, I didn't know what was going on, and that game is freaking long. Just gonna go ahead and pause the music for a second because we got to discuss this really fast, right? Let's because we're gonna get into another video in a minute. What do we think about RE6, right? If you think about it, RE6 has so many campaigns that if you play the game in its entirety, it's probably the longest Resident Evil to date. Oh my god, imagine an evil Claire? Holy crap. Well, considering she never gets any screen time, I mean, she probably deserves, right? To go a little bit evil. Resident Evil. What? But honestly, like, that's the problem we face, right? So many loopholes in the story, and I know it's the trope of, right, the game having the loopholes and just, but trying to piece together everything and make everything cohesive, it's very hard to do. Very hard to figure out. What's this one? This is a long one. This is a long one. Haha, hear me out. Sherry Birkin pulls an Anakin Skywalker and ends up becoming exactly like her parents, making Claire and Leon regret saving her, resulting in one of those... Wow. Okay, I like that. I like that theory. I like that theory, right? She was infected. And honestly, you know who I think might turn on people? Jill Valentine. Because if we watch the movie Resident Evil Death Island, she's still not sitting well after being infected by the Nemesis virus. So what happens if Jill actually turns on them? Chris versus Claire would be heart-wrenching. I know, right? It's just like an absolute blood sport type fight. Honestly, I really, really don't know. Let me see what this guy has to say.
I'm sure everybody knows who Dust Golem is. Some people find him reliable, and some others don't and truly despise him.
Why do they
Came out
despise
with a
him?
claim or rumor about a certain character in Resident Evil that most of us want back in an actual game.
100%.
100% the main character of RE9. Jill doesn't really play a role. Like maybe a file would reference her or something. But she is not a major character in the game at all.
Okay.
There's other reasons that rumor is BS. But if you see any rumor claiming Jill has a starring role in RE9 for what the final game is turning out to be, then unfortunately, it's not true.
Okay. Let's read this, right? This is from Dust Golem, the leaker that leaks a lot of Resident Evil information. You know, some people despise him because, like, giving away information before it comes out, right? People get really pissed off. You can't blame them to a degree. But Leon is 100% the main character of Resident Evil 9. I think it's because of just how many fans adore him. Jill doesn't really play a role. We'll get a reference to her. I just don't understand how Jill can not be in this game. Well, yeah, I think about it. Remember the end of the trailer of Resident Evil 8 Village, where Chris comes out of nowhere and bloodied shooting his shit out of Ethan's wife was like, dang. Well, yeah. And think about the ending of Resident Evil 8. They get on the chopper. Mia's like freaking out because she's wondering where Ethan is, right? We don't know what happened. And then all of a sudden, one of Chris's guys reports to him that the BSAA is using BOW weapons instead of regular soldiers. So Chris all of a sudden charts a path over to the HQ of the BSAA in Europe. So does the BSAA have some mutamycete? Is that still going on here? Major downer to get no Jill, right? Like, I mean, it is a major downer. Lefty, right, it is. We want to see characters that have never been in the same game together be in the same game. Like, why can't we get Carlos and Claire, right? Like, why can't... I know I'm asking for too much here, and I know they're probably just built for the game they're in, but they have abandoned so many characters. You're telling me right now that Jill is just going to get a reference from a file? That's all she's worth? I don't know.
In case anybody is wondering on what this is all about, is the supposed playtester that drops some rumors or leaks, whatever you want to call them. I made a video about some of them a month or two ago, and I'll leave that video in the description down below. He recently ended up making a post about last month, and he's been getting quite a bit of buzz. And Dust claims that this is fake. Pretty much it's these two beefing, I guess. So some of the main things Ludus Fix was saying was this. Leon being in a promotional art, and he does not look too far off in his RE4 remake look. The marketing for RE8 left a sour taste in Capcom's mouth, and they want it to be better. The game...
So let's address some of the comments we have here. Thank you guys for being here. Is the enemy at the end of RE8 a Chris clone? So we have the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, technically, right? And then Mother Miranda. Very big letdown as a final boss. I'm sorry. If you like her, good. I personally thought it was a very big letdown. It's a cruel, Carlos-less world. Carlos. I mean, I would agree. Brother vs. sister final battle? Damn. That would be especially Silk. Wow. What do y'all think about Claire finds out Chris is somehow the new main secret villain? We never thought. That would be wild, right? So the final, just to touch on Lily's comment, right? The end of Resident Evil 8, we had Mother Miranda. He takes in, Chris takes in Rose, right? Does he like adopt her, or he just like watches over her for Ethan, right? We go inside the last remaining, or quote-unquote, what we know, last remaining part of the mutamycete. And then we don't know what's going on. So they're going to the BSAA HQ. So how is Chris not tied into this game at all? Because it literally leaves off on a cliffhanger with, I almost said a Chris hanger. A Chris hanger, yeah, with a, we don't know. Like, let's read this. He knows nothing about the test sessions involving Leon, even though he is in the game. Marketing has only worked on the test sessions involving Jill, at least in America. What the hell does that mean? Blue Umbrella will be in the game. They are already developing the synopsis, and very little material they have received to work with. A corporation is mentioned as something central to the game. Okay, so Umbrella's going to have some involvement again. He is confident in saying that things in the moon cults, symbols, and ritualistic things do not seem to fit into the game. Oh, thank God, right? I mean, if you think about it, that was one of the major things people hated about Resident Evil Village because it became too fantasy. Right? Like, like all of a sudden we were fighting lycans, witches, dolls. Like, what was going on? It was, right? Like, it had good intentions, but it was not Resident Evil. I heard a lot of comments that in Japan, a lot of people didn't like how violent RE7 was, so they toned it down with RE8. Right? But like, why tone it down? Why tone it down? Why do the opposite of what the game is meant to be? Thank God, right? Yeah, I agree, Jem. Thank God. Thank God. More testing. According to him, Capcom is planning 2 more testing sessions during the next 6 months. He doesn't know if the same teams... So we don't even have Resident Evil... Resident Evil 9 is in development, but we were sitting there watching the Game Awards hoping for an RE9 trailer, and we didn't get that at all. We don't even know if they're done testing opening things. They are trying to make this game so massive that we don't even know what the hell is going on anymore. Right? I mean, I totally agree with you, and happy Friday to you. But at the end of RE8, with a different looking Chris working for Blue Umbrella, well, he's definitely not happy about working for Umbrella. I remember that in the DLC. It feels weird to him. I thought it was an interesting concept for the OG monsters like Lycans, but I miss zombies. RE2 Remake zombies were great. Exactly, right? Maybe testing outside of their zone and adding new monsters was like their plan. Right? But let me see here. I do agree with Lefty that the novel concept of Resident Evil 2 Remake zombies were the scariest zombies that have been to me since 1998. I would agree. And then they copy-pasted them into RE3 Remake, right? Because they work so well. Right? So why are we going why are we going backwards? Why are we not going forwards? Let's see what this guy continues to say.
Is being treated as the biggest survival horror entry in the series. Blue Umbrella will be present in the game. A smoke grenade is a key feature or weapon, and Capcom will tease more things until May about Resident Evil. First of all, some things feel off, like Capcom teasing RE stuff until May. That doesn't make sense because I haven't seen any teasing whatsoever. And some of these are really obvious, like the REX or Rex engine on its way very soon. Blue Umbrella being part of the game and more. If you wanted to see more, just pause the video when it was on the screen. I know how...
I found Mia and Rose to be less likable than earlier characters. Is that bad? No, it's not bad, Lily. It's definitely not bad, right? Because I would agree with you. Mia sucked. Mia was actually more annoying than anything else. Rose wasn't too bad of a character, right? But the whole Ethan Winters saga, I do like Ethan as a character, I really do. But I think that door shut. And if you want to add Rose to a new game, by all means, right? Because now she's a new established character, but where are the rest of the characters? It would be cool to see characters like Rebecca and Barry in another RE game, right? We saw Barry in Revelations 2, and he was pretty badass. Where are the Revelations games? Right? Why is there no Revelations 3? Put some of the, unidentifiable characters that you hide on the top shelf in a Revelations game. Exactly. I like Leon. I mean, I liked Ethan, but there's no Leon. He's no Leon Kennedy, right? We've established the characters that we love. And I'm not saying that if they add new characters, we can't love them. The problem is with Mia and Rose, right? Rose became a little bit more likable in Shadows of Rose. But now that the Ethan saga is done, right? Jill does not play any major role in Resident Evil 9. Most rumors about the game are false. I'm definitely not worried about what he has to say. He seems like a nice guy, but an indie company, and that's awesome. I don't even know what he's talking about here.
What people are feeling right now, and to me, this game is starting to get really out of hand when it comes to these rumors. And I do not remember RE4 Remake being this bad. I understand that this is the most anticipated game in the series without a doubt. Maybe us content creators are a big reason as to why. But I do want to share my excitement for this game with you guys, but at the same time, it's really starting to get annoying with how much stuff is coming in. It's one side saying one thing, and then the other saying the opposite. You guys can decide on whether you want to believe in this stuff, and I'm fine with any choice. Or you cannot believe any of it at all.
Right.
What was that option?
Yeah.
I also wanted to clarify and let us understand what the difference is between a leak and a rumor. A leak is something that has substantial proof. It can be legit anything. For those that are fans of music, you've probably heard or seen countless songs being leaked by many artists. And those are true leaks, and they have legit proof to them. And it does hurt them in a big way. It might delay
You know, and honestly, shout out to Century of Evil, right? We're gonna give him some love in the bio so we can link this video for you guys to watch. But he's right. There's a lot of a difference between a leak and a rumor. Right? Leaks are actual, like, proof. Like, we actually have substantial, tangible evidence that, like, something is actually going to happen, and then rumors are just, like, speculation. Jill has been the main focus since RE3. I know, right? The only time she's been a main focus was being a part of Resident Evil 5, and she wasn't even a main character, right? Like, to play as. Come on, nah, Capcom. Whatever happened to sticking with the classic survival horror? Amen. I mean, with now have more ideas and continue their Resident Evil remakes, what about bring back the main cast? Well, we hope that happens, right, Francis? Like, that's the biggest thing here. I totally agree with you. Would you guys care to hear about a concept I would enjoy seeing explored to today's technology? Go for it, Gem. Give us it. It almost is like, almost like nobody knows what the hell is going on with this game. Like, if we go to Resident Evil 9, right? Reaction of Resident Evil 9 should stay far away from flops like RE-verse. Today, Capcom has announced the impending closure of RE-verse, its weird multiplayer spin-off that has launched an additional extra to 2021's RE Village. Following Resident Evil 3's bundled-in Resistance Online mode. Over the last few years, Capcom has proven that it could deliver some pretty incredible single-player experiences. I totally agree. Sure, a batch of the recent releases have been remakes with certain framework to build on, but when you throw in well-received Resident Evil 7 and the aforementioned villain, it's a pretty good darn lineup. And while Resistance and Reverse have detracted from how good these single-player experiences have been, it does make you think what could have been created instead. Using their budgets, development time for, I agree. I know this isn't the topic, but I'm absolutely hyped for an Alien Isolation sequel. Well, yeah, now that we're finally getting one after 10 years, let's just hope it lives up to the hype, you know? That's the worst thing, is when, like, you know, we finally get a sequel or we finally get a remake and they don't hold the same level of, like, excitement. But I really do believe that the team that made Isolation will do a great job. Do we think RE9 will be first person? I really, really hope not. I hope it goes back to either it's never going to go back to fixed camera angle, right? Because that's not a thing anymore. Like, that was to hide a lot of, like, imperfections back on old hardware. But I personally would like to see my character. I personally love to play through the Spencer Mansion as SARS Bravo team members like Forrest Spire and Kenneth to see how they met their demise and learn about the first true victim. I agree. I would love to play a game that shows the early incidents, like the show Arklay that never came out, right? With random cannibal attacks and not knowing what's going on, and when they first send STARS Bravo team over. I would totally agree, Jem. I freaking love Resident Evil franchise, but nowadays I just play a game and enjoy watching I have in front of me holding my smile. Whatever happened to the feel of joy while playing Resi? Man, talk about hitting it right on the money. Talk about hitting it right on the money. Way to go, Francis, right? We feel that way with Resident Evil 4. I did not feel that way with Resident Evil 3 Remake. Village, I couldn't get into as much as I really wanted to. I platinumed the game, but you know, I love Resident Evil, so we'll do that. Resident Evil 7 was amazing. Resident Evil 4 Remake was amazing. I still think Resident Evil 2 Remake is right up there with the Resident Evil 1 Remake as just being unbelievably superb. But whatever happened to the joy while playing it? Well, what happened was the developers tried to... Right? They tried to go to a place, channel different areas, right? Different areas of gaming. Just like in 2009 when Gears of War and games like that were massive. Dead Space came out, right? Taking a lot of inspiration from RE4. You know, this is a important discussion that we all need to have. We need to know what we want to see. You know, what is the future? Resident Evil movie reboot has a major game tie-in potential? What is this? The Resident Evil franchise doesn't have the best track record when it comes to live-action movies. You better believe that. Beginning in 2002, Emilia Jokovic, I thought the first Resident Evil movie was pretty good. Series never hit with critics. Currently, all 6 Resident Evil movies have Metacritic lower than below 50. Or Resident Evil 2 Hour Zero. Following the story of Marvin Brana and other RPD officers, it would be great to watch the collapse of the police department in real time before Leon arrives, right? Stuff like that we would have loved to have seen. Even if it's not a game, right? I mean, excuse me, even if it's not like its own game and it's just DLC. I mean, we would love that. The fans want to see the missing loopholes more than we honestly want to see new projects. Right? We're listening to Serenity right now, one of the greatest tracks in Resident Evil history. Our biggest problem is that I feel like Resident Evil, like I keep saying, doesn't know the direction they want to go in. I like the movies. Hey, I mean, to each their own, right? I love the first Resident Evil movie. I even thought the second one with Nemesis was pretty good. Then when they started to get over to like post-apocalyptic, I think they were like in like a sand area. I was like, what is going on here, right? And then what about that Netflix TV show? You guys like that one? I'm not talking about the CG one. I wonder if they would implement the ability to change between third person. See, that would be great, right? Like, that's something that me and my buddy Kamina have been talking about. Why don't they add the option to do fixed camera angle or third person or first? They have the money, they have the potential. Give the fans what they want. What about Forrest's sister? Rachel Spire, right? That was supposed to be in the original Resident Evil 2 before changing her to see Elza Walker, right? Oh my god, imagine they actually made Elza Walker canon. Do not speak of the I knew if I said that you would get, right? I knew you would react. I mean, like, I think the CG movies are really good, right? I think the CG movies are really good. Resident Evil reboot movie should release alongside an RE game. Let's dive into this. The Resident Evil movie reboot might harken back classic entries. All right, so we have the director of Barbarian, which is a really good horror movie. Really good horror movie. Directing, apparently, the new Resident Evil movie, which gives me some hope. Resident Evil reboot might be a perfect time for a Resident Evil remake. The long-rumored Resident Evil 0 remake would be a great choice, with its claustrophobic train carriages, facility corridors, likely offering a similar atmosphere to the movie. Yeah, Death Island I liked, right? It was very fan-servicey, but it was great. I like a lot of the CG movie. Degeneration's my favorite. Alright, let's go over to... Let's take a look at RE8. Lance Reddick RIP was a single good thing about that series other than the modernly commendable CGI, but otherwise I'd purge it from history and disassociate it with the brand entirely. Damn, Jim. I mean, he's right. That shit was garbage. We're looking at the announcement trailer of Village. His story came to a close. Literally, when I saw this, I actually thought it was Unimusha at first.
A young girl went with her mother to pick berries for her father.
Or a Tim Burton movie.
But the forest greeted them with a dark, cold silence. The bushes empty. Yet determined to find the berries, the rascal broke free of Mother's grasp and vanished into the trees. Mother's worried cries faded fast as the girl ran on, over vine, under branch, and into the forest deep.
What is it with that creepy story?
It's just a local tale.
You're really into that stuff.
Quit being so paranoid.
See, right here, right? It's a very interesting opening trailer. How did he not get shot?
Who are you? Who sent you?
That looks like my grandfather.
Who is?
It was very interesting the game was in Romania. The graphics really do still look great, I will agree. One thing this game had was unbelievable graphics. Lady D, baby. Well, okay. So when we look at that trailer, that gave absolutely zero indication that it was a Resident Evil. So we know what they like to do is really throw us off, right? We knew Mia, we knew Ethan's voice, right? And then all of a sudden we just start seeing some random grandpa. It's a very interesting concept of what they're going to do. And I honestly wonder if we're going to get a trailer by the end of this year. It's interesting how long it's taking Resident Evil and Capcom to make a new one. What about the trailer and the ending? Chris Redfield might be taking Albert Wesker place in the new Resident Evil villain. Am I right? I mean, that would be crazy if Chris just goes bad. I'd like to see another RE game, like 7, where you play a civilian in the ruins of Raccoon City trying to survive, right? I feel, and tell me if I'm wrong, I kind of feel like the whole Raccoon City outbreak, it was like once they bombed Raccoon City, right? Raccoon City was like such a staple in our lives when it came to Resident Evil. It was like almost like its identity was a little confused, maybe lost. I think Resident Evil 4 did a really good job of bringing the characters back and making us feel like we were back in Resident Evil, but without Raccoon City, man, it has felt weird. And that is interesting that they keep making remakes surrounding Raccoon City in the Arklay Mountains, right? Because they know that the fans miss it, but they destroyed it in 1999. It is such an interesting concept as to what they want to do. So we're going to have to figure this out. We're going to really break this stuff down over time. Multiplayer Resident Evil games would be tough as scary, I think, right? I agree, Lily, because honestly, a lot of multiplayer horror games, maybe other than the Outlast trials and like Phasmophobia, Devour, they're scary, but they're scary in a different way. They don't capture the same, like, feeling you would be playing if you're playing a game single player with headphones on. That is awesome that the ice fishing is going well, dude. You know, it's very interesting, like, how they're deciding to go in order. A lot of us here didn't even think Resident Evil 4 needed a remake, and it got one. Right? Right? Like what? Literally right near my birthday, March 21st. I saw this and I was like, what is this? Right? But right here, we already knew that this was Resident Evil 4. I mean, I heard the music and I saw the R. I was like, yeah, we got it. I agree, Lily. Most horror is captured by creating an unsettling atmosphere, which I find hard to become immersed when surrounded by armed comrades. I agree with Gemini 1000%. It's just a different type of horror. Because 9 times out of 10, you're laughing with your friends, right? You're just like making jokes and shit. It's not the same as playing something immersive and truly being terrified by it. Games like Outlast and Amnesia are psychological than Monster Horror. Yes, I agree, right? And maybe that's what makes them scary? And work when they're in multiplayer mode? I played Amnesia the Bunker. I thought that was pretty good. But it's such an interesting concept as to, like, where horror has gone, right? We have more questions than we do answers here. Not gonna lie, this is a badass trailer.
Thunder Wonder Roost. I've located Baby Eagle.
Amnesia the Dark Descent is great. I don't know if I've actually fully played through it. Wow.
You, me.
The village looks amazing.
Vacation, eh?
I like Luis, right? I thought this was a really good remake.
You will receive our most sacred body. It begins now.
Very interesting trailer, right? Really showed a lot of the stuff we wanted to see. This trailer was a lot more insightful than the other games. Oh, completely exceeded expectations. Resident Evil 4 Remake is unbelievable. Like, I'm actually playing through the OG Resident Evil 4, and while it is a masterpiece, it's like, I enjoy playing the remake more than I enjoy playing the original. It's terrifying. I usually never get scared while playing horror games, but the Amnesia Dark Descent actually scared me. I'm going to have to look into that, because I feel like I played that when it first came out, but I don't remember now. Right? But we're going to have a lot to talk about over the next few weeks. All right? This is how a lot of our streams are going to be. We're going to really break down a lot of different Resident Evils. We're going to watch some retrospectives. We're going to really learn about the series lore in its entirety, and we're going to really break down where it could go next. And I think that's something that's good, because we really need to start understanding where we think 9 can go. Because honestly, with all the leaks and people saying they're right or wrong, I don't even know where we go. Dr. Salvador was unbelievably terrifying. I could have cried watching him appear in the trailer. Yeah, I would agree. Really just a well-done piece of work. And what's hysterical is the creators of Separate Ways were the creators that made Resident Evil 3 Remake. It was the Capcom B team. And you could just see how much of a step up Separate Ways was, right, comparatively to RE3 Remake. And they chose the worst, like, they chose the best game to use the B team on, Resident Evil 3 Remake. I agree, Noble. They could go in any direction, and that's what we don't know. But going forward in our streams, we're going to start diving into some retrospectives by some of our fellow content creators that do a lot of great work here on YouTube. And we're going to start really understanding a lot about these games, their lores, their history. And we're going to break some stuff down and relate it to where RE9 could go, especially Leon. Leon's got to be like 40-something now, right? It's going to be really cool. I really think we have a lot to talk about going forward. And, you know, I know it's getting late for you guys over there, so I really appreciate you jumping in this hour-long stream today. It's not going to be a long one, probably be ending it in a minute. But we got a lot to discuss coming up. Really, any direction RE9 could take that you would kill the franchise for you, MB? I mean, if they continue with the way Village went, right? I think that if you continue with the way Village went and you continue with the fantasy aspect and not keeping it to zombies or not keeping it to, like, certain things, I feel like that's why they're pushing the Mutamycete as, like, the new Contagion that's, like, big and, like, you know, we got to worry about. But I don't know. A lot to discuss, right, Jem? So yeah, guys, we're going to go live again this week. During the week, I'll make an announcement right over in the Discord as well as on YouTube, and we're going to start breaking down, starting with Resident Evil 1 Remake. And we're going to start looking at it and discussing, is there a possibility for a 30th anniversary remake? I hope you guys enjoyed this session. It's a new take on how we're going to stream for a bit. And I'll take requests on what you guys want to go over and what you want to discuss. But until this week, hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend. The Notorious Base will be signing out, and I want to thank Lily, Lefty, Noble, Gemini, right? Francis. And everybody else that joined the stream tonight. We're going to be back this week with RE1 Remake, the best game in the series to me. It is superb, it is perfect, and we're going to be watching some content on it. Yeah, absolutely, Lily. It was a surprise stream, and I think going forward, this might be really fun, because we could all discuss. We could all discuss a lot about Resident Evil. What's your Discord, my dude? If you go to my YouTube channel, in the bio is a invite to the Discord. I could definitely invite you to it. Everybody is welcome to join the Discord. And I will see you all next time. Francis, I could privately message you as well. And I'd love to have you in the Discord. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. And I'll see you this week with the Notorious Base. Signing off.